Hey YouTube, happy Friday, or Friday, whichever one applies. Smoking my country gent with some old Joe Krantz. I made a video yesterday that I subsequently took down. The bulk of which I was responding to Stephen Waters. And I stand by everything I said in the video and the entire concept of what I was talking about, with the exception of Stephen contacted me and told me I misunderstood something he said. With which I agreed. I did misunderstand something he said. So although I believe everything I said in response, the premise of which I was saying all that was incorrect. So I took it down because I thought it would be easier to say this than to try to fix that. So there were no hard feelings or anything like that. The rest of this video is going to be, oh, and by the way, I agree with what he said that I misunderstood. I also agree with what I said about agreeing with Johan, what he said, and with what I said. So anyway, if that's not confusing enough, join us next week for another edition of Soap. So the rest of this video is going to be a non-VR to Pipeterian's giveaway. I say non-VR because I've already wasted more than half the time that I'm allotted, and there's no way I could keep it within the constraints of some of the parameters that he spoke of. So I'm just going to talk about the subject. So since I don't think it would be considered an entry to his giveaway, and that's fine too, I'll just say what I gotta say. His question, paraphrasing, was compare and contrast the YTPC and the church. How could the church be more like the YTPC or vice versa? That's a difficult one for me without some definitions. What is the church? Is he speaking of the church? A church? Some churches? The Catholic Church? The Episcopal Church? The Anglican Church? There's so many different definitions you could say about the church, and what I believe the church is may be quite different from what someone else believes the church is. So for the purposes of this comparison, I'm going to go with the church as I believe it to be, as stated in the New Testament of the Bible. And that is the body of believers, the bride of Christ. Globally, the body of believers, those who adhere to the principles and the guidelines laid out in the New Testament and the Old Testament, because they work in conjunction with each other. One's not invalid because of the other. but specifically the church was created during the time of the New Testament writing in Acts. And also my church, my local church, a very similar definition would fit that church, only on a smaller scale. It is a smaller, localized body of believers that follow everything I just said. How do you define the YTPC? That was a little more difficult, I think. It's a group of people gathered around a general cause, pipe-related things. But beyond that, it's wide open. We rotate around the gravitational force of the pipe. That's what holds us in orbit. But what keeps our planet from falling into disarray is the individual members and collectively the idea that this is a good thing, that we're a community, that we enjoy each other's company and what we have to say. We enjoy sharing information and stuff and learning and teaching. Just enjoy each other's company quite a bit. So it's not a very defined thing. There's no set of guidelines. There are unwritten rules on how to behave and things like that. We kind of police each other in that matter. There's no authority. I love both of them very much. How could one be like the other more so than it already is? I think a better question is, why in the world would one want to be like the other? If the YTPC were more like the church, it would be a very different thing. We all don't have the same beliefs and ideas and thoughts and that can be generally held together by a specific set of principles. We do revolve around the pipe, but that's, generally speaking, that's it. I think there are a lot of good people. I haven't met any bad people necessarily. But very different people. Every one of us are individuals. No two of us are alike in any way. And that could be said of the church as well. But the church is bound by a different set of principles and guidelines and goals that we attain and strive to achieve. I don't want my church or the church to be anything like the YTPC at all. Because if it were, it wouldn't be what it is. that's not something I'm willing to explore, really. There are things each different group do that the other one could emulate. But I think in doing so, in a strict sense, it would take something away from either one of them. I wouldn't care to see that happen. If the church were as loosely organized and as unadministrated, if you want to say, and didn't hold to what it holds, it wouldn't be anything but people. Conversely, if the ytpc were to adapt all the principles, or most or some of the principles of the church, it wouldn't be what it is. The goals of either one of them are completely different. So that's kind of what I think about that. Someone did a VR, and forgive me because I've forgotten who it was. They just did it today. But the video was titled An Odd Comparison, and I agree with that. I liked that video a lot. I thought he had some good things to say. I've seen other videos talking about some things that they thought would be good things for the church to adapt. While I agree with the basic premise of some of the things they said, I disagree with the fact that the church isn't already doing those things. One of them was to be more inclusive. The church and my church, I don't see that at all. People say, well, they don't accept this or they don't accept that. Well, they're not disavowing the people, they're disavowing certain acts of people and encouraging them to behave in a different manner. I'm not talking about a specific group of people. You probably think you know what I'm talking about, but the Bible talks about a whole bunch of people that were rotten to the core. That were accepted into the church. That people outside the church who were on the periphery, legalistic stuff, Pharisees and things like that, who did not accept those people at all and thought Jesus was insane for doing so. Jesus said he came into the world not to condemn, but to save. The actions of a person. This is a very loose statement, so don't hold me to in a legalistic way to what I'm about to say. The actions of a person are what determine whether or not they are saved or condemned. It's not the speed limit that determines whether or not you're breaking the law. It's your speed. Anyway, I've kind of rambled out of what I was intending to say, but that's B. That's why this is 16 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Probably 20 minutes before I finish. So in short, I think either or could be much more like the other one if they gave up what they are, and in doing so, that would destroy either one of them, I think. So it's an interesting question, but one that I don't think we should explore in a serious let's get something done kind of way. So anyway, that's that. You may notice a different background. I've been forced to move because the path of the earth and my position in relation to the equator, I can get into the physics of it, but it boils down to the sun was in my eyes over there, so I moved over here. Hope everybody has a good weekend. There's a couple of other VRs I would like to do. Peg Leg Piper's got a VR giveaway going on. And he's got an interesting question too, so if you haven't checked that out, go do it. Trees is starting to change color over there. This one's just, it doesn't change color, the leaves just die and they fall off of it. This is a confused oak tree. Feel free to let me know what you think about what I've said. Because I probably have more stuff to say about it. Maybe we can have a conversation if you so choose. So with that, I knew I was going to get 20 minutes. You probably thought I was waiting until I got 20 minutes, but I wasn't. I just rambled. I'm going to touch that button right there, and then this video is going to end.